It's rather disappointing and frustrating that you sleep and wake up, there is a new OpenAI hype. You cannot do anything about it, but that's the world we live in because everybody feels the AGI. In the latest hype train, there is something called Q Star, and in this video, we're going to learn about why the heck everybody has been talking about what is this thing Q Star. I'm not going to go into a lot of technical details because I myself is not a great expert in that, but I wanted to give you what is the myth and I want to burst the myth. Let's get started with the video. First of all, like I slept last night. I mean, like normal human beings, sometimes I sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, one of our long-time subscribers, Kevin, actually kept me up to speed by sharing a Q Star Reddit thread. I was like, what? Something new? And I went to this Reddit thread and then I started reading about it. And then it says, per Reuters exclusive released moments ago, Altman's ouster was originally precipitated by a discovery called Q Star, which supposedly was an AGI. I was like, what? There was an AGI invention, and I didn't even know that I ran an AI YouTube channel. So I immediately went to the Reuters article. And if you go read there, there are a couple of things. I think what people are actually doing is they're connecting a lot of different dots. At least, like, that's what I feel. So, first of all, before Sam Altman was fired, Sam Altman actually spoke about, pushing the boundaries and thin veil of something. And people are connecting that with saying there was an internal note that says that people acknowledge, like the ex-staffers or somebody acknowledged that there is a project called Q Star, and they sent a letter saying that this Q Star is not being handled properly. Like and this is like probably like AGI, and it is not being like handled with safety, and people are upset with that, and that's why they wanted to fire Sam Altman. I think the number of theories I have why Sam Altman was fired. I think this is more than like what Spider-Man the last movie was, where everybody had some fan theory. This is like, I think it crosses probably that. But anyways, because Sam Altman being Sam Altman, OpenAI being the company that is everything about hype, people are suddenly talking about Q Star. So naturally, on Reddit, everybody is interested about Q Star, and then now you are obliged to know whether Q Star is AGI or not, because you don't want to be left behind if Q Star is this. This is one of those, like, almost feels like Web3, to be honest. But anyways, so now what is Q Star? Why people are talking about it? First of all, I would like to point either to this Reuters article or everybody who's been thinking about Q Star is nothing new. It's not 2023 AGI invention by Ilya or OpenAI. It's nothing like that. To be honest, long ago, probably like 7 years ago, there was a talk hosted on Lex Fridman. Basically, I think it's an MIT talk or a talk on deep learning school. This talk was given by John Schulman from OpenAI. And in the middle of this talk, the talk is about deep reinforcement learning. How do you combine two different domains, deep neural networks and reinforcement learning? That is basically the idea of the talk. And somewhere in the middle of the talk, exact timestamp, I'll share it in the YouTube description, 1 hour, 3 minutes, 25 seconds, you can see that they are talking about introducing Q Star. So this AGI or whatever the Reuters is thinking, or what, at least if it is called Q Star is not new. And again, the Q Star is like an industry term. It's not something that it is specified only to OpenAI. Like, in fact, like 23rd March 2023, probably you would see it somewhere else also, that there is a paper that talks about Q Star. And what are they talking about? They're talking about an A star algorithm, but without expansions. So they're saying learning heuristic functions with deep Q neural networks. So they're basically trying to compare the Q learning from reinforcement learning and the deep neural network concept plus A star search algorithm. I think A star is there for ages, like 2010 somewhere when I was in my undergrad computer science. We used A star algorithm at the time to find the optimal move for chess, and A star is like, at the time everybody in my university knew A star by heart. Like, now I don't remember anything, but the point is A star is very old. It's a search algorithm, and not necessarily like Google search. It's like finding the optimal. It's like the traveling salesman problem. You find the optimal move, and then they've combined that A star with Q learning from from neural networks, and they've used it with the reinforcement learning. The Q learning is from reinforcement learning, and deep is because deep neural network, and they've done. So if you see at the end of this, you would notice one thing, that we prove that Q star search is guaranteed to find the shortest path, given a heuristic function that neither overestimates the cost of a shortest path nor underestimates the transition cost. And just remember this, like you have to find a shortest path in a very difficult space, and they are saying that Q star search is guaranteed to do that. And many years ago, Ilya Sutskever actually gave a talk at MIT, I guess, and there he describes the neural network problem as a simple path finding problem. So he says like the shortest path is what you need to find, and if you can find shortest path with the given data, that is basically you understand the data because you understand the pattern, then you find the shortest path, or at least you find the path. Now, when you combine all these things, now you would feel that OpenAI has got actually some magic. And let me tell you one thing: like OpenAI is a non-profit, controlled, capped profit, for-profit organization with 49% investment from Microsoft, which is a big for-profit like conglomerate in the AI race, trying to build AGI that would benefit humanity. So I don't think if OpenAI has cracked the code of AGI, they would be like sitting on it just because somebody wrote a letter to the board, or somebody wrote a letter and saying that, hey Sam, don't pursue it. OpenAI doesn't seem like that kind of company. First thing. The second thing is the Q star, the deep neural networks, everything is based on at least the Q star is based on something called Q learning, which is one of the fundamental algorithms in reinforcement learning. Once again, like I said, I'm not an expert in that, but I don't know how many of you are old enough here to remember something called Markov chain. Many years ago, if we ever had to generate new text long before large language models, long before transformers, we used to use Markov chain, like one of the easiest way. Like I think I have a project probably like 5-6 years ago where we use Markov chain to create tweets that would mimic a particular person, because Markov chain is basically good in understanding these kind of patterns. So in any Markov decision making process, Q learning is basically something that finds the optimal policy. And in reinforcement learning, the policy here is what makes the algorithm move. And Q learning is a model free reinforcement learning algorithm. So there is no model, that is, there are just states and actions. Like you can see here, there are states and then there are actions. It's initialized with zeros, just like how deep neural networks are initialized. And then the weights or the values here gets updated regularly so that the algorithm finds the most optimal route or most optimal way. And this is basically by rewarding a right step and penalizing a wrong step. That is how the reinforcement learning works. So Q learning is the fundamental thing. Q star is built on top of Q learning, and if you are like a math nerd, which I'm not, you can go to this talk and then you can learn more about Q learning. So overall, Q learning is not new. Q star is not new. Q star is based on Q learning, which is reinforcement learning, where OpenAI has spent heck a lot of time, and they have been doing this a lot. Now suddenly everybody on the internet is thinking, hey, oh, can we combine LLM with reinforcement learning? Reinforcement learning is where the AI actually goes rogue, and now combining that with LLM, what could happen? Is this AGI? Is this ASI? And every other day there is a new acronym. I would like, if you are like me, I don't consider myself to be the effective accelerationist, and I don't consider myself to be an AI doomer. I don't consider to be myself anywhere in this cohort. I'm just trying to learn something, and I'm just trying to teach for somebody to economically improve their situation. If you're watching this channel, my objective is to make you build tools that can probably make your job easier so you make more money. At the end of the day, this is the objective of the channel. You learn something, you use that to make more money so that your life is better. Nothing more than that. Maybe we'll see when AGI comes in, like that time I'll probably make videos about how to protect yourself from AGI, but this is the objective. So if you are like me, I would like to point out that first of all, I think this is all fuss. There is a lot of unnecessary noise. I don't know. I think like I would be so happy how to create hype if it is a course from OpenAI. Like I would be strongly like I would pay for the course and then learn it, because one, my channel is not growing as much as like a lot of other channels who are covering this AI hype day in day out. The second thing is OpenAI, I don't know, wantedly or unwantedly, is always staying on the news like the celebrity, you don't like much. So But I appreciate the great work that OpenAI has been doing in this space. I respect it. I don't have talent to do those kind of work, but still, I think a lot of this is fuss. So Q star is not new. Q learning is the fundamentals of reinforcement learning. Of course, OpenAI is one of the best organizations that have got reinforcement learning brain in the country. Now, there is the other school that is looking at this particular article that came in May 31st, 2023, and it says maybe this is AGI, improving mathematical reasoning with process supervision. So, what does this say actually? This says that OpenAI is training a reward model to detect hallucinations using either outcome supervision, which is based on the final result, or process supervision. And they figured out that when you use process supervision, the model is much better, and model does a much better job. You can see here. So the model is attempting to do something, they are rewarding at every step, and then you have got like certain other things. So instead of just rewarding the final outcome of the model, then you reward just every single step of the model, something that happens in reinforcement learning. If you have seen any of those olden days demo from OpenAI gym, you would know that you are trying to balance a stick, some stick is trying to run, you're trying to balance something, where the agent in that environment is basically learning at every single step. So there is a reward or there is a penalization, and it learns to do better. So this is kind of an idea. Once again, this is at the end of the day, this is still, you have an algorithm that can write something, that can create something. I don't still think, even if it is this particular article, this is AGI. So OpenAI in this paper also clearly says mitigating hallucination is a critical step towards building aligned AGI. What does it mean? I have no clue. What does hallucination do with AGI? I have no idea. Maybe that is why I run a YouTube channel, not an AI lab. But the idea here is that this is one of the ways it can improve to give a better outcome. And all these times still we are talking about these large language models. Now, even if you do not believe me, let's say like I'm an average YouTuber who doesn't have a lot of tech skills, who's more like a software engineer and ex data scientist. So even if you do not believe me, let me actually quote you Jan LeCun, who says that the other school, yeah. So the third one is Q star, the second one is this particular thing, the process supervision. The third school, which is discussing the OpenAI hype about this firing thing, is that OpenAI figured out that you don't need real data to build AGI, you just need synthetic data. Synthetic data is very useful. We have seen time and time again, like a lot of these models like Phi, Orca, and all these models we have seen with synthetic data, with smaller model, you can actually do better job than like large model with a lot of noise and all these things. So synthetic data is useful, requires only common sense to understand it. So Jan LeCun recently mentioned in one of the popular tweets is that animals and humans get very smart very quickly with vastly smaller amount of training data. My money is on new architectures that would learn as efficiently as animals and humans. Using more data, synthetic or not, is a temporary stopgap made necessary by the limitations of current approach. So Jan LeCun has been one of the advocates saying that your auto-regressive large language models which we currently use cannot become AGI. You just need like a completely different approach. Now people are again combining this with the Q star, saying that okay, maybe that's why it's AGI. It could be AGI. It could be breakthrough, because large language model plus reinforcement learning could mean anything, but at least at this point it doesn't mean anything until unless it comes. Jan LeCun also mentions one important thing, which is both Meta, which is Facebook artificial intelligence research, and DeepMind have got neuroscientists and cognitive scientists. OpenAI doesn't, as far as I know. Maybe OpenAI has neuroscientists and cognitive scientists. But one important thing is, if you want to create something that is better than human beings, you better have neuroscientists or cognitive scientists on your team, because they understand human brains. And what we are trying to do at this point, or what the AGI supposedly is trying to do, is trying to do something better than human beings. So that's what Jan LeCun is saying. So now OpenAI might argue that we don't care about human brain architecture. We want to create something better than that, so we don't have to learn this, or we have learned this enough that we are going to do a new approach. So all in all, if you see, what do you understand from this hype? Like, there is OpenAI, and Sam Altman was fired, and there are a lot of different reasons and theories why OpenAI fired, or OpenAI board fired Sam Altman. One of the theory is that they developed a Q star algorithm that probably is AGI, and OpenAI did not, or Sam Altman did not handle it safely, and wanted to commercialize it, and Ilya and a lot of others did not like it. This is again, people are connecting this with we have achieved AGI internally and all these things. Again, like the question now goes back to what is AGI and all the other things. At this point, if you want something to improve economically humans, according to OpenAI, that is AGI, you can already say AGI is achieved. Like ChatGPT is improving my job, DALI is improving my productivity, and you've got like a lot of other these things, function calling and all of these things help me improve everything in my life, and I am economically better. So I can argue that AGI has been achieved. But if you truly talk about like artificial general intelligence, for that you need lot more than what is being currently done, and that is probably where you need like a totally different architecture, maybe not the large language model. I think that is one of the reason why people are hyped up about Q star and all these things. But I would strongly advocate you that if you want to improve product, if you are here for the hype and news, I mean, I'm happy to cover this thing. I get more views, I get more subscribers, more AdSense, more sponsors. I can probably leave my full-time job and then be a full-time YouTuber, which is probably good for me in the long term. Or if you're here only for you to learn and improve your knowledge and ultimately improve your situation economically, I would suggest you that you should probably see these things, but do not get distracted by what you're trying to do. Like you have your North Star, like OpenAI has its North Star, which is AGI. You have your own North Star, which is what you want to do with this entire tech, and just go towards it. Like I know it's very easy to say that, like even I get distracted a lot, especially with OpenAI and its hype and the last couple of days what they've been doing, and there are certain issues I'm going through, so I get distracted a lot. But I think at the end of the day, what is important is what you want to do, what you want to take it out, whether it is this channel or any channel that you watch. Stay understand the hype, but don't kill yourself for the hype. Like don't bend yourself for the hype, and that is what I would say. And with that note, like if you want to see something very interesting this weekend, first of all, I would like to quote, this is a very popular researcher in the ML deep learning space. He says, like, some of the Q learning takes on my timeline are quite embarrassing and they are based on speculation. Geez, my timeline is super broken with AGI nonsense. Back to reading archive papers and catching up on that cool LLM lecture that Karpathy just dropped. So Andre Karpathy just dropped this lecture, like just means like probably 24 hours ago. Like when was it launched? 16 hours ago. If you have got a 1 hour time, I honestly believe that this is going to be one of the best videos that you would watch in your entire life. This tutorial from Andre Karpathy about large language models, which I'll link it in the YouTube description. And again, I hope I gave you some information about Q star and all the hype that is happening. Maybe Q star is a breakthrough that we want to crack AGI, but what does it matter? How does it matter? I have no clue. Let's wait and watch what OpenAI is doing. And I'm going to make a lot more videos pushing open source models and spreading the word about open source models. I hope if you have any feedback, please let me know in the comment section, and I hope you encourage that. See you in another video. Happy prompting. Peace.